Alright everybody, it's our Klaus here, and I've got such a fascinating video for you. I really just want to jump right into the information today. So let me remind you that a few months ago, a video of mine was banned discussing a whole number of things as always, but in particular an old episode of MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch in which they pitted Don King against Donald Trump. Now, of course, I had an entire channel banned and discussed a whole list of things that would be really interesting to see how they connected to this year. And I have Alright everybody, it's our Klaus here, and I've got such an interesting video today. I'm going to just jump right into things. Let me remind you that a few months ago I had put up this video talking about a whole number of things as always, but in particular focusing on an old episode of MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch in which they put Don King against Donald Trump. Now, I've talked extensively in the past about why I felt that video was banned, including its important references to June 11th, June 12th, a whole bunch of other things. But I want to pause it for you today. Yet another reason why I feel that video was banned, and it's because about a week ago here, you see this headline that Don King was endorsing Donald Trump at this big event down in Cleveland Heights. Now, I have a lot to say about this. Alright everybody, it's our Klaus here, and I have such an interesting video for you today. I'm going to just jump right into everything. So remember a few months back, a video of mine was banned talking about a whole list of important things as always, but in particular focusing on this old episode of Celebrity Deathmatch where they put Don King against Donald Trump. Now, I've already talked about a whole number of reasons as to why I feel that video was banned and the importance behind a whole series of dates that have come to pass already, so be sure to look into all of that. But I want to show you today yet another reason why I feel that that video was banned. And of course, do remember an entire channel of mine was taken down over the same sort of things, these arbitrary strikes. Again, I did not actually use any audio-visual content in that presentation. It is just something they manually detected in order to take the video down. Because as always, here we are with another incredibly obscure thing that I was talking about, and now it becomes a big piece of public discourse and conversation. Look at this. Don King endorsing Donald Trump on September 21st, right? The 9th month, 2 and 1 is 3, that nice 93 right there. And talk about that a lot more as we go today. But do notice just the absolute picturesque posing of all of this here, the cross right behind Donald Trump, the man positing himself as the law and order candidate. Again, something he said 4 times in his acceptance speech for the Republican presidential nomination, as well as it being referenced then to the Emperor Tarot card, things that we've talked about. They'll come up later today, but notice that red cloak wrapped around it there, and it reminds me of the ubiquitous red cloak from Baroque style or Baroque era paintings, in which there is intensely violent and grotesque imagery, which arguably is what is on display here. And so let's take a look back here. This event was in Cleveland Heights, all right? And so there's 16 letters in that title there, and so that's the Tower card. Incredibly important here. But notice the Jewish value gives us this May 14th. But so what's really interesting is that you can see on the right side of your screen, Celebrity Deathmatch actually debuted on May 14th back in 1998. Alright, and so what's interesting about this show is there are in fact 93 episodes, but it ran in two separate runs, okay? So the first time was 1,621 days, and then the second time was 267 days. So if we added those two together, we see it's 1888, which was the year that the Washington Monument was opened. Now, remember on this May 14th day, in 2016, I was talking about it immensely because it was the 135th day in which Beyonce was playing the Rose Bowl. And again, things that we've talked about incredibly in depth in the past. But remember that that was also the night that Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers had to be rushed to the ER room. And of course, him being 53, we'll talk about that more later. But again, very, very interesting. But on that same day, May 14th this year, the Washington Monument was closed due to power problems linked to the elevator. Now again, all of the satanic connotations with that, again, even the whole idea of Prince saying he made the deal with the devil in the elevator, or whatever the hell that story was that they were pushing around the mainstream. But again, him then dying, Purple Rain having the value of 555, and the Arise, Barack, Arise that we've talked about having the same, right? Each of those words, 5 letters. Now, let's keep moving here though, because there's a lot of important things. And one other, I guess, side note, just to get it in here, do notice for MTV Celebrity Deathmatch, the ES values give us 2016 and January 23rd, right? That would happen to be the day of the year in which Trump said that he would be able to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose any voters over it, alright? So again, look through all of these dates that were covered. This was from the band video, so they'll come up again later today here, but let's keep pushing forward because there's so much to go over. Bear this phrase in mind. We're back on the left side now for Cleveland Heights and the Jewish value, evil champions. You also see Magnificent 11, or the Order of the Illuminati. You have a reference to 9/11, false flag, as well as the Devil of Death and Change in November. Of course, that being a very big notion with this very controversial presidential race coming to a head here. Now, notice the ES values for Cleveland Heights. They do have the same value as Anthony Kiedis, and again, just tying back to what I just discussed with him being hospitalized on May 14th, alright? You also see this reference to Kiss Love Gun, as well as Ricky Smiley. Again, he's who was playing with Erykah Badu back on June 11th at the theater. As you can see on the right side of your screen, a very important day that I had highlighted and showing you the distance between the ending of Beyonce's World Formation Tour just ahead here as we get ready to enter the month of October. But again, that 114, it's the 114th year that the Pilgrim Society has been a thing. We'll talk about that more later. And you also see it's the same as 38E. So let's do a little bit of visual for you. Remember Kiss Love Gun here, the 11 women, that's the Babylon card, the Lust card, the 4 members of the band, the Emperor card, Law, Order, that's 15 characters total, the Devil card, alright, the nice 11 here, again, so much symbolism. And do remember this scene here from Erykah Badu's The Land trailer. Again, all about transitioning from what you see on this side, everything clean and orderly, to jumping over, and again, everything becoming just horrible, broken down and barricaded. Remembering all of these things we've talked about with East 83 as well as Ingress. Remember, that is a game also from the creators of Pokemon Go, the Niantic people. but in which people open portals in an augmented reality game to connect and travel and unleash demons, whatever. But we also talked about in reverse 385 E, the fifth letter there, is the ice cream episode of The Simpsons. Again, a tremendous amount of research that I put into that for you. But so now, also notice here, again, just so many things, but the same as Mary Fishmas. Now, this is going to come up when we were talking about our Simpsons bit a little later on here today and Lenny's eye gag, all right? But so keep with me here for Cleveland Heights, the English and simple value. We do see the Antichrist, as well as Queen of Babylon, the Law of Thelema, as well as the Second Coming. Now, if we take a look back here to this New York Times article discussing Don King endorsing Trump, you see here that there is a tweet from a man named Oliver Darcy that he put out at 7:29. Now, again, I really don't even know how much time I have put into that number for you, but you do see it coming up in so many important capacities here. And I don't want to reiterate it too much, but we will talk about its inversion here, the 927, because that is corresponding with another event that I want to talk about with you today. But so notice here, Oliver Darcy, you do see the reference to UFO invasion, a false flag, as well as the divine phoenix, Nostradamus prophecy, and the number 156. Now, this is very important here because, as I was just mentioning with the Simpsons ice cream episode and the East 38 reference there, 156 happens to be the same value as caution children, which I don't have the image for you, but is when Homer runs through the whole crowd of people again, which I liken to the Bastille Day attack not too long ago in France. But you do see here for caution children the reference to 666 as well as 33, as above so below, again 156, which we're getting spelled out from Oliver Darcy, the man with that 729 tweet. Okay, so people from the sticks, this is what Marge's festival that Homer ran through was titled. And you do see here entirely false, emergency alert, and global destruction. And this ES value gives an infinite repeating gold egg of the Aeon of Mat. All right, so very critical to all just bear in mind there. Okay, but so now staying in tune with Oliver Darcy here, look at his ES values coming out the same as World War II, cellular device, LaShawn Thomas, and topped out. All incredibly critical. Watch my Sade video and the Hotline Bling videos for more information on that. But do notice here that Oliver Darcy's coding does give us that 135, which checks out again with that May 14th date and so many other critical things. Again, this is a value that is the same as a whole number of things I'll talk to you about later, including the phrase "La commedia è finita," the comedy is finished, translated, right? But the same as Aaron Sorkin and Will McAvoy, which, remember, those are characters from HBO. Excuse me, Aaron Sorkin is the creator of The Newsroom, in which Will McAvoy is a character from an HBO show. Now, the channel on there that he broadcasts on is ACN, which is 135 when we reduce it, alright? You also see it's the same as Ralph Wiggum, which we'll talk about more, and I Slay remix. Again, the very popular remix of Beyonce's Formation, which does have 666 values, okay? But notice here, though, for this 135, thelemic order, terrorism, this idea of blacken the sun, hold on to that, as well as God of Baphomet, alright? So all of this just really, really stunning. So let me take a second here to just discuss the whole Trump-Pence thing, because I don't really talk about him. But let's get this in here, alright? So Trump, Pence, T is the 20th letter, P is the 16th, alright? So 2016. So just like the word president is an anagram for is pretend, you can absolutely break these down and see how it's all just absolutely plotted out, okay? So now You can also reduce T to the number, or yeah, number 2. P reduces to 7, so you have 27, the number of death. Again, if we invert it, the number of demons in the Gotia, it's when John Wayne died, it's when Crowley died, whole list of other things. Okay, Trump and Pence, they're both 5 letters. And again, if we just look at his TP, it's toilet paper, because this is all shit, alright? Take a look at this over here now. The Jewish value for this, look at this, 385. Now, again, like I keep telling you, 385, alright? Just like the episode of the ice cream with the Simpsons, but you see how it all just comes back and back and back. You see Abyss, Cults of Hate, U.S. Target, again, Dark in the Sun. This is an analogy for assassination, alright? You see the serpents, names of the horned god, and ideological paradigm shift. Undoubtedly what we are in the middle of here. Now look at the ES values for this, because they are the same as lip sync gate. Again, this was a term used by, I believe, The Guardian, talking about Beyonce constantly lip syncing and nobody holding it against her. And do remember that Luciano Pavarotti, who she mentions in that article, lip sync his final performance at the XX, right, Winter Olympics, all of those things. Again, just more information on her lip syncing, the fact she did it at the presidential inauguration, a lot of other things that I could talk about, but I want to keep moving here. Again, you see the reference to Charles Dickens, remember all of the coding there, as well as lyrics from Salvatore. Now notice the ES here for Trump Pence does give us a reference to John F. Kennedy. And worth noting, since the funeral for Shimon Peres was held last night or this morning, it's very interesting that Obama spoke at that and mentioned that he was the 10th president since John F. Kennedy to know Perez. And he stated this a couple of times, which I thought was very peculiar, but we're going to talk about Perez in a moment here. So I do want to just throw that out, in the fact that Obama was able to integrate Kennedy into that speech, or the eulogy that he was giving for him there. But so notice as well, reference to death penalty, as well as Quaff and Zayn. This is a reference to both the Moon and Lovers tarot cards. Again, 2 of the most conceptually important cards, but you also have Serial Killer, the Great Beast, and Barack Hussein, alright? So all very stunning. So now what I want to do here is I want to break down Trump just a little bit for you. I think it's just such an odd name for a couple of reasons. So let's rearrange the letters. You see it becomes an anagram for Mr. Put. Now if we look at the word put, you see here that it has this Jewish value of 360, which is the same as the Angel of Death, as well as Essential, Sacred Scarab. Remember, this ties directly back to the Moon card, as well as Obama Deception, False Miracles, Prediction. You also have a reference to a London false flag and the CERN black hole. Now down below here, these ES values, do notice we have our reference to Rose, Abrahadabra, Ice Cream, Magician, and so forth, alright? Incredibly important. And let's keep moving though, because in the middle of his name we have the word rum, which if I were to pull that aside on its own, Jewish value of 310, and you see Emperor, alright? Just like I keep tying to him with this law and order concept, why he said it 4 times in his acceptance speech. Okay, it comes back and back and back. You see a reference to second death, as well as religions, tectonic, Obama FEMA camps. There he is, the prince. Now this could be a reference to Machiavelli. Of course, the whole idea that the ends justify the means, but also the idea of faking one's death, alright? Very important. You see fish is here, and the all-seeing. Now keep that fish in mind. Do remember the fish being synonymous with the death card in most regards, but also what we've talked about in the past with it, and I'll discuss it a little more later. But look at the ES values here. For rum still, you see they're the same as devil, as well as NWO, pride, flood, raise, camps, and that very critical word, arise. So again, more ways that you can break this down here, remembering the values for T and P. We get Rum 2016 does give us the phrase Antichrist is blonde with blue eyes. That could be a reference to Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, although her eyes are not actually that natural blue. Notice as well this reference to Twitter and tweet. Again, huge concepts on HBO's The Newsroom and things that I've been tying in for you, showing you how that's what LaShawn Thomas put that tweet out about Sade, and so on and so forth. Alright, what I do want you to see though is it does have the same ES value as the phrase silentium vel mortis, which is translated as silence or death. Alright, again, conceptually very critical here. But notice as well the reference to North Korea nuclear attack. Again, go back and watch the previous videos in which discussing the totally washed over headline of them testing their most powerful atomic bomb to date. You also see this reference here. This was just surreal, but to Mario Soli Treadway. Now, this is the husband of Alanis Morissette, who I haven't talked about in quite a while, but she will also come up later on today as well.